Hey everybody, welcome to our podcast. I'm Jason.
I'm Doug.
And I'm Andrew.
And this is the Walking Dead cast episode 18, a little special episode in between here. Unfortunately, Karen can't be with us today. She got bit.
So this is Doug again. I'm filling in.
And Karen's out shuffling around somewhere, but we're going to see if we can round her up for the next episode.
Nice.
But Doug's graciously agreed once again to fill in today. Thanks a lot, Doug. I totally appreciate it.
Yeah, I seem to be the unofficial interviewer. But I'm glad to be able to fill in. I've been loving the podcast, loving Karen and Jason, and loving talking to all the members of the cast of the show.
And speaking of which, we're going to be talking to the main man today, Andrew Lincoln, who plays Rick Grimes on The Walking Dead. So we're totally excited about that. Obviously, we're going to just do a quick 10-minute interview with him. And yesterday, I also took part in this roundtable conference call with some other bloggers and journalists. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for the second half of today's show.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to Andrew.
We're extremely excited to have Andrew Lincoln on today, who, as everyone knows, plays Rick Grimes on The Walking Dead. Thanks for coming on, Andrew. How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's great to eventually be on here. I think you've spoken to a few of my fellow cast members.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. How did you know that?
I've been informed, and I've seen on the websites as well.
Nice.
So I think did you speak to Stephen the other week?
We did. Stephen was kind enough to give us a zombie sound. I'm going to play it for you.
Let's hear it.
He said that's how he sounds when he wakes up in the morning.
Right.
Okay, let's get to some questions. So the show is a huge success. You're on the cover of Entertainment Weekly with a bunch of zombies. How does that feel?
It's incredible. I mean, I think we keep because I'm in London at the moment, we keep sort of pinging emails and Skyping each other and phoning all the cast members, and even in our wildest dreams, we never envisage this kind of reaction. You always hope that when you're making something that people are going to watch it, but I mean, this is better than a best case scenario. It's crazy, and we're all completely thrilled.
Cool. Yeah, us too. I'm really happy for you guys.
Couldn't have happened to a better show.
Oh, thank you.
So speaking of that cover, why do you suppose that Rick keeps on wearing that police uniform?
Well, I think it always felt that it's when in the pilot episode I never kind of imagined. I was so flattered to get the part, and I was so excited about playing Rick. But for the first 2 weeks of my American sort of debut, I didn't sort of bank on wearing boxer shorts and bare feet for most of the first 2 weeks of the shoot. So it was frankly, it was a relief to get into his uniform at long last. I mean, I thought I was kind of sold the gig as being this kind of quite heroic sort of cop, and so it was a bit, with a full beard and boxer shorts. It wasn't my ideal sort of introduction into your country's great cinematic legacy. But I think it's a funny thing. I always saw it when I read the comic book, and I loved the comic book. It's the equivalent of his, for want of a better expression, sort of costume, isn't it? It's not a Superman costume. He uses it as a sort of figurehead. It's he's a cop, and it's about, I suppose, trying to maintain some semblance of normality of the past, and also a very practical thing of people looking to him. You see a uniform, and people are in great distress and duress. If someone's in a uniform, they do defer, and they do instantly see friend rather than foe. So I think on many levels he was using it to regain a part of himself that had been lost in this nightmare sort of day that he is until he meets Morgan, of course, and then I think it is, it's almost like a beacon to other humans that he meets.
Sure. So it seems though that he doesn't let that get in the uniform get in the way of what he does. You know, he doesn't like have to necessarily act like a cop. You know, he can threaten people however he wants and sort of do whatever he wants for his own purposes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the great thing, the thing that attracted me to the graphic novel, and I hope that we're achieving it in the show, is this kind of seesawing of a moral dilemma. All of the characters, no one's clear cut, you know, and I think that the rules have changed irrevocably. The world has changed. So I think all of the characters are kind of making it up as they go along. And it just so happens that he's the guy that people are looking to. I don't think it was ever a conscious decision that he stepped forward from the rest and said, I'm the guy. It's almost like the rest of the people took one step back and he was left there going, oh, right, I'm the guy, right?
Yeah, that's who he is.
So I think that's kind of, yeah, I do think that certainly one of the great attractions about playing this part in this wild, crazy, you know, tripped out world is the fact that they change continually, you know, scene to scene. They have to keep adapting and evolving to the world that they're confronted with.
One of the things that I've really enjoyed about the show is how you guys have all made a point to have Rick acknowledge the former humanity of the zombies.
Yeah.
But also it's interesting to watch because when he's in immediate danger, we all know what a great shot he is because he's just blowing them all away. So I'm wondering, is he getting jaded about their humanity, or is he just doing what he needs to do?
I think it is, you know, this harks back to the question that we've just answered, is that he is kind of making up. They all are as they go along. And the primary concern he has is for his family. He's a family guy. And I suppose that's why a lot of the other characters in the group look to him, because they think actually he's looking for sanctity and safety and protection and a future for his son and his wife. So that's where his moral center is. And initially, after the shock of what these monsters, in part humans, are surrounding him, I think he is. I think if his family are in direct threat, then all bets are off, man. It's like, you know, that's the primary focus. But I do think that there is, I mean, I'm just thinking directly about the camp attack, and that's just a horrendous, brutal kind of scene. But then what happens afterwards is, in episode 5, is the reaction to all of that, and to the grief, and to the decision making that they're going to have to. You know, the camp is split about how, you know, when do we kill our friends that have been bitten? You know, it throws out so many really interesting moral ideas and debates, and I think that the thing that I was very concerned about, and I think all of the actors and the crew and cast, is that we wanted to place it in as much reality as possible, so all of the characters react hopefully as the audience members would react under those circumstances, which is in a very confused, different, individual way, which makes it even more powerful and compelling, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Man, I would love to follow any one of these lines of conversation, but I asked our listeners for questions. One of them was kind of interesting. She said she wondered if when in the first scene of the show where you and Shane are in the police car, do you think Rick would have minded if he knew that Shane was sneaking his fries